Good evening to all the students. In yesterday's part for 10th standard English compulsory, we have started with the 4.6th chapter, that is the Gift of Magi by O. Henry. Yesterday, while studying about this particular chapter, this particular short story, we came to know about a number of things. The author of this short story is O. Henry. He writes short stories, and this particular short story has a surprise ending. O. Henry's all the short stories are famous for the surprise ending. Particularly talking about the short story, when we began, we came to know about the two main characters of the short story. One is Della and her husband Jim. Talking about the condition of Della and Jim, we come to know about a few things. Those few things are both Della and Jim are a poor couple. They do not earn too much money. They just earn $20 a week. They are living in a furnished flat that they have to pay around $8 per week. Jim does not earn more, so Bella has to manage the entire month in the very meager amount. Both of them love each other very much. We also learned about that it is Christmas, and Della had been saving money to buy some gift for him, her husband Jim. Talking about the condition of their lifestyle, they do not have much money, so Della had to save cents by cents for over the 6 months, and she had managed to save up to $1.87. She had saved around $1.87 to buy one of the gifts for Jim. She was planning to gift him something rich, something elegant, and something sterile which is made up of silver. Unfortunately, she does not have much money, so she had to plan something in that $1.87. We also come to know that Della's hair are very long. She likes to see herself. There isn't much better glass at her home. So whatever glass they have at home, she looks herself inside the glass, and we come to know that she has really long hair. So as we progress in the story, now there are two positions of James Dillingham Young in which they took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that he had been his father and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in that flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hang out of the window someday to dry just to depreciate her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor with all the treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. So the two things that both of these young people had that they cherished was Jim's father's gold watch. In the olden times, you had a watch which had a chain which ran towards your pocket. It was a coat watch or a waist watch. And the other things that Della had was the long hair. Her hair was so long or so beautiful that even the Queen Sheba of a particular place would envy her. She would get jealous at her looking at her hair. And if the King Solomon, the famous King Solomon and his hidden treasures, the famous King Solomon would be his janitor, means his housemaid. If he would look at his beautiful watch, that gold watch, he also would feel jealous. So now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. A cascade is a small waterfall. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a minute and stood still while a tear of or two splashed on the worn red carpet. So Della's long hair are so beautiful, they are so long that they run towards her knees. And they are brown colors. If anyone would look at her beautiful hair, Della's long beautiful hair would look like a garment, means a clothing on her. But she did not leave them. She had left them. She had to untie it again. On went her own brown jacket, on went her old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and with the brilliant sparkle in her eyes. She fluttered out of the door and down the stairs to the street. She danced and she fluttered. She loved her hair. When she stood, the sign read, Mine, Sovereign, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up Della ran and collected herself, panting, Madame Large, too wide, chilly, hardly looked this sovereign. So there was a particular shop against the road which said that Madame Sovereign, hair goods of all kinds. Means it was a shop where one could buy or one could sell their hair. Will you buy my hair? Asked Della. I buy hair, said Madame. Take your hat off and let's have a sight of it looks. Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. Give it to me quick, said Della. Oh, and the next 2 hours, tripped up by rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor, she was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. Della loved her hair very much. She wasn't in the mood of selling the hair, but she wanted to buy something sterling, a gift that Jim would love. So she ran towards that particular shop and she asked that particular lady, Would you buy my hair? So the lady said that just take off your hat, let me see. And when she saw at her beautiful hair, she said $20. I will pay you $20 for your hair. She said okay. And as soon as it had done, she collected the money and she rushed towards the store for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in the stores and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by materialist ornamentation. At all the good things should do. She finally had found a nice piece of metal, a piece of jewelry for Jim. This was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste. A fob chain is a chain. A fob chain is a coat watch. One of the coat watches. I would like to draw it with the similar kind of drawing. A chain that hangs across the waist. The olden times, these people used to hang their watches in their coats. So this is just a small drawing to make you understand what a hop chain must look like. She had finally found a gift for Jim, simple but chaste. It was simple looking chain, but it looked really very rich. As if it was only designed for Jim, it was made for Jim and Jim should only have it. No one else in the entire world should have this chain, so she bought up this chain. So this chain was made up of platinum, a precious silver white metal which is actually more precious than even gold. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be for Jim. It was like him, quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it and she hurried home with the 87 cents. With the chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on sly on the account of old leather strap, what he used to place of a chain. So the cost of that platinum fob chain was around $21. So whatever she could, she paid it off. She got in return 87 cents. She took the chain with her. With the description of the chain, she says that the chain was just quite like him, quiet but had value. Jim was a very quiet husband. He did not speak much, but he loved Della a lot. So she thought to herself, if Jim could have such a beautiful, such a nice, a precious watch, he would love to see time in it. When we buy new watches, we usually spend our time with the watch. Even if there is no time or there is no time to see in it, we purposely look inside the watch. We show the watch to everybody. In the similar manner, she thought that if Jim found out that I have bought him a platinum fob chain, he would be so happy because his old watch had been very old now. The leather strap was torn off. But this particular watch is so beautiful. This is new. He would love it. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to the prudence and reasons. She got out her curling irons and lightened the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love, which is always a tremendous task. Dear friends, a mammoth task. She gave way means she submitted. As she reached home, she just forgot about everything and she started doing her work. She curling the irons. That means she started cooking food. She lighted the gas, and that was a lot of work. A tremendous task, a mammoth task. Mammoth means huge, and tremendous means a great amount of task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with the tiny, close lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror long, carefully, and critically. So, after 40 minutes, her head was now covered with close lying curls. Means bob cut. She had almost cut all her hair like a truant schoolboy, like a going schoolboy, small schoolboy. Her hair were now short. She started looking herself in the mirror and she looked very carefully and critically. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself before he takes a second look at me, he'll say I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what I could do with $1.87. She thought to herself that Jim would be very angry because she had cut her beautiful long hair for him. But even if he said so, he wouldn't kill her. He would get angry on her and he would say that you just look like a girl that sings on the Coney Island. But anyways, what could I buy in just $1.87? At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made, for the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. It was 7 o'clock and they were ready to make the dinner. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table, near the door that he always entered. Then she heard his step on the stairs, away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things. And now she whispered, please God, make him think I am still pretty. So Della was just preparing herself to let Jim come inside the home, and she would give him the fob chain. And every day, whenever he would come inside the home, she used to say the little prayer, the prayer that she would thank for all the things she had. But this time the prayer was little different. She said that please God, let him think that I am still pretty, because this pretty woman had just chopped down her entire hair for the gift of Jim. Now Jim would get the particular watch, but poor Della, she had cut her long beautiful hair, which she loved like anything. She only wanted God to make him think that whatever she did, it was for him. The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22 and had to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat and he was without gloves. So here's the entrance of Jim. Jim just stepped inside. He was very thin and he was very serious. He was just a 22-year-old man who was burdened with the family. Means he had to run the entire home for the family. He was married, he had a wife, he had to run his family, and he was just 22. In India, nowadays, just if you talk about ourselves, till the age of 22, most of us are learning, we are studying. But talk about a person who is just 22 and he's earning for his family. There are many people in India who at very early start earning. But for a person at the age of 22 being married, living at a place, okay, the poor fellow did not have a new coat. He did not have an overcoat. Overcoat is that which we have to wear over the body. It's like a jacket which protects a person from the winters. He did not have an overcoat and not even the gloves. He stopped inside the door as immovable as a settler at the scent of the quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly with the peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. When Jim came inside the home, he quickly moved inside. And he looked quite very carefully at Della, and the expression what Della was thinking, that was, she thought that maybe he will get angry on her. But she could not read that he was not terrified, neither anger, nor he was surprised, nor he disapproved, nor any horror. He just kept on looking at her. He kept on gazing towards her. He simply stared as at her fixedly with the peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. Jim, she cried, don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow out again and you won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I've got for you. You've cut your hair? Asked Jim, laboriously, if he had not arrived at the patent fact yet, even after the hardest mental labor. Cut it off and sold it, said Della. Don't you like me just as well, anyhow? I am me without my hair, ain't I? So before Jim could say anything, Della started off. She said that I had to sell my hair because I wanted to give you a Christmas gift. And without giving you a Christmas gift, I would not have felt nice. Even if you would give me a Christmas gift, that would be good. But without giving a return gift to you, I wouldn't have felt nice. Poor Jim said that, why did you cut and sell your hair off? And she just told the same thing. I didn't cut it off. I sold it. But it will grow. You know that. My hair grows really very fast, and don't worry, till the next Christmas my hair will grow. But what Della wanted to try to convince to him is that without those hair, I'm still Della, I'm still your wife, and I'm still pretty. Don't you think? Jim looked about the room curiously. Curiously, very eagerly he looked in the room. You say your hair is gone? He said with an air of almost idiocy. You said that your hair is gone? I didn't see it. You needn't look for it, said Della. I sold it, I tell you. Sold and gone too. It's Christmas Eve, boy. Be good to me, for it went for you. Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered. She went out with sudden serious sweetness. But nobody could ever count my love for you. Shall I put the chops on Jim? So before Jim could say anything, everything is to be answered by Della. And Della said that I had to sell it because it is Christmas evening and I like to give you gifts, and that's why I had to bring you gifts, and that's why I sold it off. Now, have we done all the talking? Can I put on the chops again? Can we take something to eat? Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to wake for 10 seconds. Let us regard with discreet scrutiny some inconsequential object in the other direction. $8 a week or a million a year, what is the difference? A mathematician or a wit would give you the wrong answer. The Magi brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. This dark assertion will be illuminated later on. So there was a lot of questions in Jim's mind. Jim said that, what does it mean? Even if I earn $8 a week or I have a million a year, nobody could tell the difference. He had brought something for her. Here, the Magi, according to the Christianity, Magi were those people, those wise people who brought gifts for Jesus Christ. He said that gifts are for everybody, but Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table. Don't make any mistake, Dell, he said. About me, I don't think there's anything in the way of the haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could have made my girl any less. But if you'll unwrap the package, you may see why you had me going a while at first. This was not which was expected from Della. He had brought a gift for Della, and that was something which he wanted to gift her. But without the hair, how could he gift her? So he just removed the packet and kept it on the table, and he said, see yourself. White fingers and nimble tore at the string and the paper, and then an ecstatic scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears and wails, necessitating the immediate employment of all the comforting powers to the lord of the flat. As moment she just opened the gift, she was really very happy. She screamed in joy. But unfortunately, suddenly there was a change and she started to cry in a hysterical manner. In a loud manner, she started to cry. For the set of combs, side and back, that Della had worshipped long in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoise shell, with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart had simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope for possession, and now they were here hers. But the stress that should have adorned the coveted adornments were gone. There was something which he had brought for her. They were the combs that she always wanted on the Broadway window. She had worshipped the comb. Being poor, she thought that she would never be able to buy those combs. But those combs were present for her. It was a present from Jim to her. But unfortunately, those precious combs which were brought for the beautiful hair had vanished. Now she could not have them. But she hugged them to her bosom, and at length she was able to look up with dim eyes and a smile and say, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." She hugged them to her bosom. She took it to the chest and she smiled with a very lovingly innocent face. She looked at Jim and said, "You know, my hair grows fast." And then Della leaped up like a little sand cat and cried, "Oh, oh." Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. She held it out for him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull precious metal seemed to flash with the reflection of a bright and ardent spirit. Jim didn't see what present Della had brought for her. But suddenly she just opened her palm and put his precious gift on his hand. It was a dull metal, but the reflection of her bright and ardent spirit made it flash. "Isn't it a dandy, Jim? I hunted all over the town to find it. You'll have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of owing, Jim tumbled down the couch and put his hands under the back of his head and smiled. She said that it's a dandy, means it's such a beautiful watch, Jim. "Could I see your watch? Could you just remove your watch and let me compare both the watches and let's see which watch looks better?" Instead of listening to her, he just sat down, he put his hand back over to his head, and while scratching his head said, "Dell," said he, "let's put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They are too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs, and now suppose you put the chops on." The Magi, as you know, were the wise men, wonderfully wise men who brought gifts to babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in any case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you an uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their house. But in the last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that all of who give gifts, these two were the wisest. One of all who give and receive gifts, such as they are wisest. Everywhere they are wisest. They are Magi. So looking at the entire story, we come to know about the Magi. The Magi were those wise men who brought gifts. The biblical Magi also refer to the wise men or the kings who visited Jesus after his birth, bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. These are those people who brought the gifts, the kings and the queens who brought the gifts for baby Jesus. According to the Magi, the gifts that the Magi were brought were beautiful, and they were the closest of all. In this particular short story, we come to see that Della and Jim both love each other so much that they had to sacrifice what they cherished the most, what they loved the most. So what this particular short story, the message what it gives to us is that whatever gifts you choose for your loved ones should be not just the most precious one, should choose your gifts wisely. In the above story, we seen how Della had to chop her hair, a precious hair, for Jim, and Jim had to sold his gold watch for Della's combs. In the similar manner, both of them had chosen the best and the wisest gifts for both of them. In the similar manner, all those who give and receive such kinds of gifts are the Magi. So here we end today's lecture. The explanation of today's lecture ends here. In the next time, whenever we will meet, we shall be looking at the vocabulary and the Q&A, that is the question and answers of the following chapter.